Hey guys, Kelade here. Welcome to my new series called Mastering Your Inner Fury. In this series of videos, we're going to go over everything you need to know to take your warrior to the next level, right? Everything you need to know to get that one extra percentage in your rankings. Essentially, things that aren't covered in general guides or even the general patch guides that I have. This first episode is going to be relatively tame since I do want to get this topic out and make sure that you guys have the correct way of executing as a Fury Warrior. And that's going to be the topic of, episode one essentially is how do you execute as a Furier once you get your tier bonuses, right? So if you don't have tier 19, what's in my guide for 7.1.5 is fine. But once you get at least the two-piece tier 19, you can do this, right? So the biggest reason why is your two-set piece is going to be each use of Fury Slash grants an additional 15% increase to Bloodthirst critical strike chance. Now this is huge because without the tier piece, your Fury Slash already gave you 50%. So adding the two 15% together, each use of Fury Slash is going to give you 30% chance to crit on BT, on top of course, whatever crit that your character has. So essentially during execute phase, we're relying on this plus Bloodthirst to enrage us. It essentially pushes Raging Blow out of our execute rotation, and your rotation priority looks something like this. Enrage executes, Bloodthirst, non-rage executes, Fury Slash. Now, of course, the very, very biggest thing, the most important thing during execute phase is do not drop your Juggernaut stacks, right? If you drop your Juggernaut stacks, all that work in building it essentially went to waste. So that is the very most important thing. No matter what else I say in the video, whatever you do not drop your stacks. In practice, that priority I give you doesn't always play out, right? Essentially, what you want to do is one, keep your Juggernaut stacks, and two is you actually don't want to use a non-Fury slash buffed Bloodthirst if you're not enraged. So essentially, if you're not enraged, your rotation will look something like this. It will be like execute, Fury slash Bloodthirst, execute, Fury slash Bloodthirst. Right now, there is a point where once you get enraged, you're going to gain enough rage to sometimes you can throw in two executes in a row there, right? But of course, whatever you're doing, do not if you do not drop your stacks, right? If you're at 20 rage and you have two GCDs left, it's okay to throw in a raging blow in there and guarantee that you'll have the rage for an execute. So in practice, it looks something like this. All right, I have to get this dummy down to 1% HP, but essentially you're gonna do this execute, right? Fury Slash, Bloodthirst, execute, Fury Slash, Bloodthirst. This, especially with the Legend Helmet, this will keep you at the same rage and even more, right? And essentially what we're gonna do is gonna do the same thing, right? Always doing executes, keep your Juggernaut stacks, Fury Slash to buff your Bloodthirst, and you'll stay in rage the whole time. Now, something else that you can add on to is that if you're going to execute phase, with a relatively full rage bar, you can see what I'm doing here, right? If your rotation is actually just execute, Fury Slash, and Bloodthirst, you can actually also maintain your Frothing Berserker buff, which is huge. Now, the other thing is if you're going to do that and stay at high rage, you really need to watch your blood battlecry cooldown and make sure that when your battlecry is ready or it's about to be ready, you start dumping your rage, right? Because ideally, you want to be perfectly at zero rage essentially as your battlecry comes off of cooldown. That way, you can hit battlecry, get that full rage bar, really get the full value of your Reckless Abandon talent. Now, another thing, a small thing you can do if you're wanting to take the risk is you want to kind of time it in a way where you're still enraged when you hit that battle cry. That way, your first execute will be still enraged buffs, and it'll be Frothing Berserker buff because you just hit battle cry, and then you'll hit that execute right after you battle cry. You'll drop a little bit in rage, and then you hit Bloodthirst again. It'll push you back to full rage, you'll get Frothing Berserker buff, right? You'll get Enrage buffed again, and then you can execute again. Because generally, even with the 4-piece, our Enrage uptime does not cover a full Battlecry window. So you're going to have to use Bloodthirst in there anyway. So that is definitely something you can take advantage of. Oh, and essentially, how does draft play into this, right? If you have draft and execute phase, when is it good to just not use draft altogether? And when should you just use draft into your rotation, right? So let me first show you guys what draft is going to look like in a standard setting. Like how are you going to draft during execute phase while you have stacks up. All right, now we're in execute phase, right? we got a couple stacks on the dummy. Let's say our battle cry just came up, right? So what do, right? We pop our cooldowns, right? You can execute, you can bloodthirst, you can execute again, and then you pop Draught of Souls, essentially, and then you're gonna execute again just to make sure your Juggernaut stacks are kept. Essentially, you encompass your Draught of Souls with the execute before and after, right? And you want to make sure that you're enraged for your entire burst too. Now, ideally, you want to go into execute phase. Like I said again, if you can go into execute phase already enraged, you can hit that execute and then bloodthirst again, just for additional frothing berserker uptime. If not, right, you just pop battle cry, bloodthirst, execute, and then draft of souls, and then execute again, and you are good to go. Now, if you're feeling a little bit risky, you can place a bloodthirst before your execute that comes after draft of souls, but that is a little bit too risky, because if you drop your stacks there once again, it is definitely something you do not want to do. With Draught of Souls, we gotta also talk about Odin's Fury. Now, Odin's Fury is in the exact same boat, right? You just want to place Odin's Fury between your executes. Now, if you have Odin's Fury and you have Draught of Souls up during Battle Cry, you should just stick with just using Draft and forget about Odin's Fury, maybe for your next Battle Cry. But by then, your Juggernaut stacks might be too high. So you're just gonna use your Odin's Fury sometime during actually outside our Battlecry window, when you have at least an Enrage buff. Now, if obviously if there's gonna be an ad spawn, you can always Battlecry your Odin's Fury and then AoE the ad with your Odin's Fury. That's always good to do. Now, as far as for how many stacks you should stop at each of those, that really determines, one is how strong is your Draught of Souls, and two is whether or not you have the Odin's Fury trait. Now, essentially, just go hit a dummy, see how much damage that, one, your Odin's Fury does, and two, your Draught of Souls does, essentially DPS per second, and then compare that to your execute phase, and how much stacks it takes for you to get to that DPS. Now, of course, as you can see, if you guys are in your garrison, whether you're Horde or Alliance, these dummies, you can bring their HP down and you can start executing them. That's pretty much it for execute phase. So just remember, if you have at least a 2-piece, start placing Furious Slash above Raging Blow and start slowly moving Raging Blow out of your rotation. Once you get more familiar with this rotation, you essentially will never use Raging Blow in your execute rotation again. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this series, if there's anything else specific you guys want me to cover. But as always, thanks for watching the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to the channel to see more content. See ya!